The Achilles heel of the Minnesota Vikings over the past couple seasons, actually for a millennia, ever since Steve Hutchinson retired, my guy, has been the interior offensive line of the Minnesota Vikings and their pass blocking notably. They can run block. Respect. Pass blocking, not so much. And it's in vogue right now, that quick interior pressure, that Aaron Donald-esque pressure just right up in the grill of the quarterback's face. So hot right now. And Kevin O'Connell coming over from the Rams, like he understands. Like he knows that they have to get things sutured up if they want to run his offense here with the Vikings. But they haven't really done a whole lot in terms of adding guys in free agency. Now, they've certainly made some great value signings around the team, looking at Jordan Hicks, looking at Zadarius Smith, looking at Harrison Phillips, etc. But the Vikings should and could just get one interior offensive lineman. I don't care whether it's a center, whether it's a guard, before they head into the draft, so they're not pigeonholed. Same thing goes with cornerback, even though Shondon Sullivan is a pretty damn good signing. But here is a look at who is currently available as of right now. As of 9:08 p.m. Central Time, which is the only time zone that matters. Here's who is available right now. And this list may be wrong too. Who really knows? So I split it up between immediate starters and depth signings. So guys that you would sign to be starters. So that'd be a couple $1 million, basically penciled in at a starting spot, and there you go. Depth signings would be guys that coming in and compete, and they can be high in depth as well. Like they certainly can compete with the existing guys on the rooster as well as draft picks for a starting spot. There you go. But I got 5 immediate starters potentially coming in. J.C. Treader is our white whale. He is our Moby Dick out there. Former Browns center, cut because of cap reasons. Last year, he was the second highest PFF graded pass blocking center in the league. And I understand there's some scuttlebutt is like, oh, he's got bad knees. His knees look pretty damn good last year. I don't know, man. But 31, I think that he still has a couple good years of football left in him. I think that he probably... Well, Flowers might get paid too. Like, I think he or Flowers would probably get the most money. Probably looking at $7-8 million per season. But I don't care; it would be worth it because center Garrett Bradbury, the Grim Reacher, not so much. And just getting a true blue starting center, then you can potentially focus on guard in the draft. Or if you take Tyler Linderbaum, if he's there at 12, if you want to go down that route, or if you trade back, and then potentially starting Linderbaum at guard, and then moving to center at heir apparent. I don't know. We're just talking out loud right here. Also, center Matt Paradise, 32 of the Panthers. Now, he certainly isn't the Matt Paradise of the Broncos years. Would have some familiarity with Chris Cooper as well. The current Vikings offensive line coach was a Broncos guard. But he hasn't been bad either. Now, has he lived up to that contract that the Panthers gave him in free agency a couple of seasons ago? Probably not. And at 32 is a little bit longer in the tooth, but I think the Vikings could still get a year or two of very solid production out of him. Then we got 3 guards. Well, Postage is a center too, but Eric Flowers, who we did a video on earlier this morning, 27, coming over from the Commies, who was let go because of cap reasons, but I think that Eric Flowers could and should bring in some nice power as well as a little bit of nastiness, where he was an absolute bust as a left tackle when the Giants took him number 9 overall a couple years ago, but he's really settled in nicely at guard. The problem is he's a left guard. I wouldn't bother trying to move him since you already found a groove. So then what do? Do you move Ezra? I don't know. Ethan Postage is, I won't give up on us, a guy that I loved in the draft back in the day. Coming out of LSU, could play all 5 spots, has had great versatility, but has always just kept rolling with Seattle. I didn't really understand it, but he would bring some youth as well as some versatility to the Vikings. Trey Turner. So I was champing at the bit for the Vikings to get on the Trey Turner train, where he was a Pro Bowler in Carolina, had a horrible year with the Chargers, signed up with the Steelers, and did pretty damn good last year. You could make a case that Trey Turner was the Steelers' best offensive lineman last season at spurts. Plus, he's a right guard, and even though I love me some Wyatt Davis, even though there's some controversy about him lately, I would just set it and forget it, put Trey Turner in at right guard, and then you're good to go. Because, frankly, the Vikings are close because they got, obviously, O'Neal at right tackle. They got Darrisaw at left tackle. I think Ezra has shown some really good potential at left guard. The question marks are at center and at right guard. And then depth signings. Guys that you bring in probably for league minimum, maybe a little bit more, maybe with some incentives, but you're not promising them anything. But they can compete, and maybe they come out on top as the best 5 at the end of training camp. So Nick Barton, Raiders, formerly of the Texans, would be a great scheme fit. Maybe he can bring his brother eventually. I don't know. B.J. Finney of the Steelers, very solid guard, sparsely used, is up there in age. Brett Jones. just the original, the OG swingman depth, where he went to the Broncos for a year. Jumping George Payton, of course, knows him. And, of course, Chris Cooper would now know him as well as Modkins. So, maybe. Dr. Laurent Duvernay-Tardif III. I don't know. But, yeah, former Chiefs starting offensive lineman, took a year off, respect, to fight COVID. Last year at age 31 was with the Jets. Yeah. And then, so I understand it's controversial looking at two free agents from the Bengals with their great offensive line. But Trey Hopkins is out there. Quentin Spain, is also out there as well, the former Tennessee Titans guard. And then you got Billy Price, again, former Bengal. Yeah. The Vikings, it certainly didn't work out with Pat Elflein. Imagine drafting a first-round Ohio State center and it not working out. So Billy Price, no. But he's still floating out there. Will Hernandez was the guy. 2018 that Vikings fans, he became like a symbol of the Vikings not taking offensive linemen at 30. Where if the Vikings had taken Will Hernandez at 30 in 2018, damn sure they don't take Brian O'Neill at 62, because I don't think that Spielman and Zimmer would have gone back-to-back O-linemen. But no. Well, Will Hernandez, he's got that nastiness. He's not a scheme fit, but who knows? Bodiger from the Bills, utility swing offensive lineman, 27, is also hanging out there. Spain, we talked about. Michael Schofield, who I feel like has been tied to the Vikings for the past 5 years. Like every time the trade deadline comes up, every time free agency comes up, he is there. But the former Michigan man, former Bronco as well. He's bounced around the league a little bit. I think he was on the Panthers for a hot second. He would be a scheme fit. Maybe you'd pencil him in right guard. Maybe. I don't know. Chris Reed, and also my draft crush, Yalda Froholt, former Patriot, former Arkansas Razorback Peaks. That just hasn't gotten the time of day. Since he's coming from the Browns, of course, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah would have a good idea about Yaldo, and he would be dirt cheap too. Same thing with J.C. Treader, formerly of the Browns, and Kwesi. So maybe that's a little bit telling as well, since Treader is just hanging out there. And maybe it's a sign that the Vikings have the need at center. They have the cap. Kwesi knows JC, and maybe that's why they're not signing him. Who knows? But I think there are a lot of ways that the Vikings they should pick up at least one viable offensive line piece before they go to the draft, because otherwise you're going to be potentially reaching day one, day two, even though it's a pretty good interior offensive line class. Like it's Linderbaum, it's Zion Johnson, it's Kenyon Green at the two guard spots, but there is going to be a lot of really good talent rounds 2 through 4, so you can certainly work with that. But the Vikings, as of right now, left to right, if they had to start the season today, Darrisaw, Ezra, Bradbury year 4, no fifth-year option. Wyatt Davis, no matter what, potentially, although Blake Brandel showed some nice flashes last year. Also, they experimented with him at right guard. And then, of course, Brian O'Neill. But rest of the team, I don't know. Hinton hasn't really stepped up, but maybe he does something with the new scheme and new regime in year 3. Well, not new scheme, you know what I mean. Oli Udoh, not so much. Austin Schlottman is definitely a utility backup offensive lineman at best. Timon Paris is also still hanging around. So, yeah, the Vikings definitely could and should. They have the cap space. They have the motivation to dip their toe back into the free agency waters. Just pick up Un. Or how about Dose? How about you sign Eric Flowers this week, and then you sign, I don't know, who else do we want? Well, I would say, obviously, J.C. Treader, but, I mean, Treader and Flowers are probably going to be the two most expensive guys out there, but I don't know, Flowers and Posich, I'll be okay with that. Ethan Posich can play center. Why not? But your thoughts are thoughts. Take a look at who's available in free agency for the Vikings interior offensive line. Let us know your thoughts on our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? It's a new day, a new dawn, a new week. Throw some shekels in the Venmo, man. But until next time, Skull Production Value.